This is Jeremy Christian, arrested for the murder of two men on a Max Light rail train in Portland, Oregon in May 2017. Christian stabbed and killed 53-year-old retired Army officer Rick John Best and 23-year-old Talisa Marada Namkaimeka. He also stabbed 21-year-old Micah Fletcher, but he survived. What happens next is the moment where it all began. Christian was captured on tape screaming anti-Muslim and racist slurs at two black teenagers. His behavior didn't sit well with several passengers. They confronted him and barred him from the frightened teenagers who had moved to the back of the train. Further attempts to de-escalate the situation resulted in Christian brandishing a knife, threatening to stab and eventually stabbing the victims. But it doesn't end there. Here's Christian leaving the scene after his 12 seconds of madness. Christian fled the train to the next transit center. Several passengers followed him as they called 911. Eventually, the police arrived, and he was arrested, boasting about how he killed two people. But killing two people in broad daylight isn't enough. It's what happened in court that left the judge and jury in disbelief. He was charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Not only did he show no remorse for his actions, he threatened to kill one of the relatives of a victim in court during the trial. One of the victim's relatives read a victim's impact statement. This is Christian's response to the statement.
I should have killed you, bitch. Should have killed.
Christian was eventually sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. During the trial, evidence of his criminal past came to light. It appeared that Christian had assaulted a woman and shouted racial slurs on another train the day before the murders. He was a self-described white nationalist and a far-right extremist. The judge added 25 years to his 2 life sentences for these other charges. This is Camilla Gamet, the 31-year-old in court for the murder of her 38-year-old boyfriend, Marcel Hill. The couple lived together in Michigan, and in May 2018, Gamet attacked her boyfriend in a rage. She smashed the entire apartment and used several items as weapons. The court heard that when the police arrived following calls from the neighbors, Hill was dead and Gamet was covered in blood. They recovered a bloody frying pan, a knife covered in blood, and a smashed floor lamp. Prosecutors said that she stabbed her boyfriend multiple times with a knife.
We have no choice but to send her where she will also die.
But Gamet wasn't finished there. Wait till you see how she defended her actions in the courtroom. During the trial, Gamet claimed that she thought her boyfriend was an assailant or intruder and that she stabbed him in self-defense. The defendant's story didn't stand up to scrutiny because she would have recognized the boyfriend or his voice. Gamet's version of the event could have convinced the judge if Hill had sustained 1 or 2 stab wounds. However, the evidence presented in court showed that Gamet stabbed Hill 12 times and hit him continuously with a frying pan.
You stab, you stab, you stab, you stab, you stab until he was dead.
Still, she insisted that it was all in self-defense. She was a victim of their lies. Here is Gamet sticking to her story.
Basically, at trial, the way I was portrayed, mostly everything was lies. There was a little bit of truth, but mostly I was convicted off of lies.
Her claims did not impress Judge John McBain. Diana Banks, a member of Hill's family, was called by the court to deliver a victim's impact statement. What Gamet did as her victim's own mother took to the stand would send chills down your spine. As Hill's aunt read a statement, Gamet showed no remorse, rolled her eyes, and even smiled when the aunt was done. Gamet reacted. This time, Judge McBain wasn't so nice and threatened to tape her mouth as she continued interrupting the woman.
You're gonna shut your mouth or I'm gonna have some duct tape put on it.
Well,
All right, we'll wait here for a moment so we can get her quiet.
The threat didn't stop Gamet. In the end, court officers could not find duct tape, and Aunt Diana was able to finish her statement. But Gamet's behavior had already angered the prosecutor. Before she was handed her sentence, Judge McBain told her what he thought about her and the crime she committed.
I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
The court considered her story of domestic abuse, and Gamet was sentenced to life imprisonment without any possibility of parole.
He talked about Mr. Khalil Brown, my neighbor who stayed across the street. I did kill Kenyatta Band. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it.
This is 29-year-old Ronnie O'Neill III. Ronnie is in court for the double murder of his 9-year-old daughter, Ron Nevaeh O'Neill, and his 33-year-old girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, in Riverview, Florida, on the evening of March 18, 2018. Ronnie fatally shot Barron and struck his daughter multiple times with an axe until she was no longer with us.
Someone outside, and then I just saw my dad chase him, hit the roof in the axe. And then he went in the garage, I followed him, he put me on the ground, and then like had his foot on top. I was laying on my stomach, he had his foot on top of me.
He stabbed Ronnie O'Neill IV, his 8-year-old son, and critically wounded him. On the night of the murder, Barron called 911, screaming before suddenly hanging up. Less than 10 minutes later, Ronnie called 911, claiming to be attacked by white demons, and accused Barron of trying to kill him. He then gave his home address, but Ronnie didn't stop there. Believing they were all dead, Ronnie poured gasoline into the house and set it on fire. Fortunately, his son was able to escape with burns and stab wounds. Detective Mike Blair attended to him and ensured he was taken to the hospital. Luckily, he survived. After setting the house on fire, Ronnie fled. The police were able to catch up with him and he was arrested. If you thought someone that did such heinous crimes would try to act pleasant in front of a judge and jury who have his future in their hands, let this change your mind. Ronnie's trial began in 2021. He insisted on representing himself and was psychologically cleared to serve as his attorney. What happens next is hard to hear. During the trial, Ronnie cross-examined his son, who had fully recovered from the stab wounds and burns Ronnie inflicted on him and was testifying as a witness for the prosecution.
I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
He stabbed me.
His son told the court, recounting the events surrounding the night of the tragedy. However, Ronnie claimed that his son had lied about the events and insisted that the recording the prosecution submitted as evidence was forged. Initially, Ronnie claimed that he was acting in self-defense and filed motions, but the judge rejected them. Ronnie was found guilty of 7 charges against him, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder. But he didn't put it to rest. Then, after his sentencing, Ronnie admitted that he wasn't sorry for his crimes.
I am not sorry for something I did do, and I am not sorry for the thing I did.
Before Ronnie was sentenced, Judge Michelle Cisco, who has been in the judicial sector for almost 20 years, said this.
This is the worst case I've ever seen as far as the facts go.
Ronnie was given 3 life sentences without the chance of parole.
But if it is, Ronivia O'Neill is one of the bravest souls I have ever come across in my 54 years on this planet. One of the bravest ever. Because she suffered so traumatically.